was left of CNN's credibility is now completely in the toilet. The self-proclaimed facts-first network under fire for another botched Trump-Russia report. This time, they claim the president was the reason why a CIA spy was extracted from Russia. The story's been debunked by numerous outlets. And it turns out Trump had nothing to do with it and wasn't even in office when the decision was made. Despite all that, CNN still reported it this morning. And new numbers show the network spent 181 minutes typing the so-called bombshell earlier this week. Sadly, it's not just CNN that's clinging to the bogus story. Check out what NBC asked former Secretary of State Condi Rice.
Do you think it's possible that Russia's election interference actually worked? It actually elected Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton?
I don't think there's any evidence of that. And, you know, I really don't think that that's a good conversation to have. I think that really does devalue the people in Wisconsin and Michigan and others who decided to vote for President Trump. Whether you like this president or not, whether you believe that he should have been president or not, let's give the credit to the Americans who went out and voted for somebody who they thought would bring change.
All right, Juan, I have a theory on all of this. I think you might agree with me.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I think the media might help get Donald Trump reelected, and here's why. All they do is report on Donald Trump. Fake news, Sharpiegate, and they give no room for any of the Democrats running for president. You don't hear anything about any of the other Democrats. It's Trump 24/7, and I think it's to the detriment of the Democrats running.
Well, I understand your point because he takes up so much air in the room.
And they give it to him.
Well, boy, did we give it to him. But I must say, you know, Donald Trump, I think every political conversation, I have a lot of them, tends to always come back to Donald Trump. He is still the, you know, 100-pound gorilla or whatever, 800-pound gorilla in the room. I mean, he's the guy.
100-pound gorilla.
Whatever, okay. Whatever, 100. Whatever.
Like my size. Not a very big gorilla.
No, but he's the biggest of the big ones. So I think, obviously, and also with the chaos, and like yesterday with John Bolton leaving and all the arguments, and the previous weekend with the idea of bringing the Taliban to Camp David. Imagine today, 9/11 just would have been awful. I think the media has to cover the president. He's the president of the United States. But your point is well taken. I do agree with you.
There you go. That's what we got the agreement. It didn't take long, but we got it.
It didn't take that long. If we could only do that every show, Juan, we'd have a hell of a program. What do you think, Tom? CNN at it again. Are they going to apologize or not?
And not only CNN, I love that NBC clip, and I love Condi Rice with the pushback. I mean, not only she almost was too nice. She said that's not a conversation we should have. How about stop saying that? Stop saying that Russia got Trump elected, and they're still doing it. So they're still going to play the Russia game, regardless. This story that has been debunked, and CNN is just kind of going to let it fade away. But they're going to keep up the Russia thing, and they're going to keep up the did the Russians get Trump elected? So. No one's learned their lesson. 181
minutes, Katie. I mean, they probably boosted their ratings quite a bit when they're back to the Russia well.
I don't think it's boosted the ratings, but
I mean, from 0 to 1.
That's a nice thing for you to say about them. You know, the interesting thing to me is that CNN and Savannah Guthrie claim to be concerned about Russia interference in the elections, but anytime she says and gives Russia credit for maybe tilting the election towards President Trump, she's actually emboldening Russian propaganda and giving Russia a win. And every single time that someone at CNN reports a story incorrectly and puts a CIA source at risk, the Russians do things in America. They've done it, and you know that's a huge problem. You're setting up the situation where Americans are now debating about the Russia issue and tearing each other apart politically, which the one thing in the Mueller report that we know is true, that was one of the Russians' goal when they did the Facebook ads and kind of the Twitter troll farms, was to sow dissent in America. So every time the media acts like they're concerned about classified information, they're worried about protecting sources, they've actually exposed the source, and they've actually emboldened the Russian propaganda by continuing to give Russia credit for something they didn't actually do.
And that goes to one of the theories, Dana, that's floating around right now. The person who is an asset in the Kremlin, people think that he was the one that gave all the disinformation about Donald Trump to Christopher Steele, which he cooked the dossier up with, and that's why he had to have been brought out of that country as it broke.
And so maybe that is why then CNN is clinging to their story?
Well, I think they're trying to get ahead of it now because the Durham investigation is in full
When that
tilt.
comes out, well, yeah, that will be an interest. Everyone's on pins and needles waiting for that one to come out. I think when Secretary Rice talks about this, it's worth listening, right? She understands Russians very well, and it's giving Russians way too much credit, right? And it's building them up to a point of ridiculousness. The thing that she didn't say, and she's very polite, she didn't say it, which is that if that were true, where was the Obama administration? Because they have responsibility for election security in the United States. And I don't know if that will be a part of the Durham investigation, but I feel like they kind of get off easy because no one really talks about it. We talk about the media. No one else talks about that. The other thing I would point out is back in the olden days, like 10 years ago, there was really no way to fight back when a reporter wouldn't back down, even if you knew the story wasn't true. If they wouldn't retract it, you could complain a little bit. You could try to get it out there to your people. But there was no Twitter. There was no Facebook. There was no direct way to communicate directly to people to say that story is wrong. So I do think that it has helped. The social media has been a good leveling of the playing field.
So you like when the president tweets fake news?
No, I don't like it. But let me just rebut some of this that I've heard here because I don't agree with it.
Don't worry, Juan.
One is I think CNN, I don't think that they've acted recklessly. They're standing by their story because they believe, and they've said, partly responsible, that the anxiety over the fact that the president was having meetings in the Oval Office with the Russians. Later, this is the president who stood by Vladimir Putin and say, well, I believe him, not American intelligence. You can imagine how the American
But even though the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the CIA have all said that wasn't the case?
No. What they said, by the way, both the New York Times and CNN went to the administration before they ran their story and asked, should we run this? Because there was no danger. The Russians knew this guy, knew where he was. So nobody's life was in danger. That's just not true. But what I would say is that you have a situation where CNN, when they were found to be wrong, I think it was a story about Scaramucci, they fired 3 people, including a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Well, they should fire the whole newsroom because they were wrong about Russia collusion.
No, they were not.
Oh, really, Juan?
In other words, Russia...
Juan's clinging.
Are you kidding?
You're clinging.
This is what...
Who colluded,
This is what
Juan?
upset me. When you were talking, you said you're acting like Russia didn't interfere, and Russia...
Collusion and interference are different things.
Wait, hold it. And Russian propaganda didn't influence votes in this country?
Talking about collusion, not interference.
Okay, and Obama didn't stand up and we have a picture of Obama staring down at Putin and saying, stop it.
And did it work?
Trying to get...
Wow. I guess
Mitch
Putin really
McConnell,
listened, Juan.
Trying to get Mitch McConnell to agree, let's put out a bipartisan statement.
But all the
McConnell wouldn't
blame,
play.
It's not McConnell's fault. He's the commander-in-chief.
This is what the Russians want, guys, right here.
Last word, Dana?
The bickering.
I just say that all the blame, though, the Obama administration has been very skillful in trying to cast all of the blame against Trump and the Russians when they really were in charge of election security.
Well, what would you have had them do? In other words,
do you think
Can't blame Mitch McConnell for everything.
Do you think Hillary Clinton thinks Obama should have done something more?
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
And then
So
what would Trump and the Republicans have said? You're interfering, you're putting your finger on the scale for Hillary.
So they were worried about politics, not national security. That's what I hear.
Thank you.